Welcome to From the Silly to the Sublime, a century of American comic strips at the Society of Illustrators in New York City. I am Robert Pollak, and I'm a member of the National Cartoonist Society and the Society of Illustrators. My expertise is in American comic strip art.
There's approximately 100 pieces in this show, and we'll start with this one. This is a Bern Hogarth Tarzan piece. Bern Hogarth was one of the founders of the School of Visual Arts in Manhattan, and he's really very well known for his work on Tarzan. He also wrote books on dynamic anatomy and dynamic drapery. He was very highly respected and groundbreaking in his cartooning style, and that's what this show is about. A lot of different pen and ink styles. And Hogarth here, with this hyena, you could see how he's working on the shading, the darks, the lights, the anatomy. And you can also see here in Tarzan's face how he really gets dramatic with the blacks around Tarzan's eyes and the shadow. So Hogarth had taken over Tarzan after Hal Foster, and then he made it his own. I'm going to show you a few pieces on this wall that I'm very fond of. The first one is this Smiling Jack cutout by Zach Mosley, who did the Smiling Jack comic strip. He was an aviator, and this is very unique. This is the one and only paper doll that Zach Mosley ever did, and it was a full page in the Chicago Tribune, and I bought this many decades ago directly from Zach Mosley when he was retired in Florida. It took him 3 years to find it, and I'm very proud to have this unique piece in my collection. Under it is a daily strip that he drew, and here you can see Smiling Jack, the aviator, with his goggles and ready to fly. Over here, we have a Fred Laswell Snuffy Smith, and this is really nice. It's one panel with all the characters in it, and it's all hand lettered. Fred Laswell later on would actually glue on the lettering, and he was one of the first people to try to simplify the lettering process by having them stick on. But this is still in the days when it was hand lettered. Over here we have something I'm really calling a unique comic strip. It was Rudy by William Overgaard, who did Steve Roper and Mike Nomad for many decades. And in the 80s he broke out of that genre and created this kind of fun strip about a talking vaudeville chimpanzee. So Rudy lasted for about 2 or 3 years in the early 80s, but it's very unique and very special, and it deserves a place of honor. It's a real different kind of comic strip. And over here is one of my favorite comic strips too, that I grew up reading Brenda Starr, and I was friendly with Dale Messick, her daughter and granddaughter. And this is a 1952 Brenda Starr reporter by Dale Messick, the creator. And then her successor was Ramona Fradon, who I also know. And Ramona is a very talented artist, and she took over Brenda Starr, and you have a beautiful Sunday page up here that Ramona did, and right under it is one that Dale did, so you could compare them. On this wall we have Peanuts by Charles Schulz. And everyone knows Charles Schulz's work. It's beautiful in its simplicity, it's strong in its message, and here we have some really great examples of Sunday pages and also 2 beautiful daily strips. Here's everyone's favorite detective, Dick Tracy. In the center we have a daily strip with Dick Tracy and Junior, and of course some shenanigans going on with the bad guys. And this is actually from 1947. Above it we have a portrait of Dick Tracy by Chester Gould, the creator of Dick Tracy. And underneath it, we have a portrait of Dick Tracy by the current artist on the strip, Joe Staton. One of the big stars of the early adventure comic strips was Milton Kenith. And over here we have a Terry and the Pirates from 1941 with Terry in it and Raven Sherman in it. She was an important character because this was a time where Milton Kenith brought a lot of drama into the newspaper comic strips, and Raven Sherman is, I believe, the first comic strip character to be killed in a comic strip, and it actually got a lot of people upset in 1941. He was a great storyteller, and this is his famous Terry and the Pirates. But before Milton did Terry and the Pirates, he was working on Dickie Dare. When he left Dickie Dare, a very talented artist, Colton Waugh, took over. And these are two of Colton Waugh's daily strips on Dickie Dare, a few years after Milton Kenith had left to do Terry. On this side, this is a Sunday Dickie Dare strip, and for about a 2-year period, I believe, Fran Matera filled in for Colton Waugh on this, and this is a Sunday page for Dickie Dare by Fran Matera. In this exhibition, we have heroes and superheroes that are well known. Here we have Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, and the Phantom. The Phantom is the oldest masked character in comic industry. It's drawn by Cy Barry, very talented, very beautifully done. Over here we have a George Tuska rendering in The World's Greatest Superheroes, which is basically Superman, and George had hand watercolored this in a few other Sunday pages for me. Spider-Man, this is a wonderful one by Johnny Romita, and it has Dr. Octopus in it, one of my favorite villains. I love Dr. Octopus, and if you haven't seen him in the comic strip, you probably saw him in one of the Spider-Man movies. This wall has all science fiction comic strips. A lot of them are very well known and popular still today. Over here we have a Russ Manning Star Wars from the 3rd month of the strip. This is a Brick Bradford in the Time Top by Paul Norris, which Paul Norris hand watercolored for me. This is the last Flash Gordon that Austin Briggs, the famous illustrator, did in 1948 because he was ghosting Flash Gordon for a while for Alex Raymond, and then he took it over until he left in '48. This is Brick Bradford in the Time Top by the original creators, William Ritt and Clarence Gray, 1947, I believe. Flash Gordon by Mac Raboy. One of my favorite strips, and it's really in a kind of Bigfoot style to some degree, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century from 1950, one of my favorite characters. And here is a Buck Rogers daily strip by Murphy Anderson when he first went in to do the daily strips while Rick Yeager was still doing the Sunday strips. And on this wall, it's all Flash Gordon by Dan Barry, but these two dailies from the mid-1950s are inked by his brother Cy Barry, who did The Phantom. If you like fun and whimsical type of comic strips, we have a whole batch of them on this wall. Here we have the Harriman Crazy Cat, Tiny Tim by Stanley Link, Toots and Casper by Jimmy Murphy, Little Iodine, which is one I really get a kick out of, by Jimmy Hatlow, because when I was growing up as a boy, this was always in the Journal American, and I loved Little Iodine. She was a clever little kid that always got even with the adults one way or another, but it was sweet. And here we have Charles Plum doing Ella Cinders, and what's unique about Ella Cinders, of course, is the huge eyes she has. And it's kind of a Cinderella story over and over with different backgrounds and characters. Over here we have Gus Arriola doing Gordo, which is a really beautifully drawn strip, and it's just something you should look at, the way he spots the blacks and things like that. It's just beautiful work. And this is another favorite, Okey Dokes. A lot of people don't hear about Okey Dokes, but it's a wonderful strip by R.B. Fuller, and it was one of Al Williamson's favorite strips also. By the late 1960s, Bob Lubers had created his own character, Robin Malone. It was very unique, and it lasted into the early 1970s. It was a special strip, and it had a lot of different things going on it, and it was short-lived. It was only about 3 years it ran, but very unique and very special, and probably some of Bob Lubers' best artwork was there next to Tarzan. Underneath it is something very different, and this is by Erwin Hazen. And if you grew up in New York, you always saw the full back page of the Sunday News in color. It was Dondi. The front page was Dick Tracy, the back page was Dondi. So we all grew up reading Dondi by Erwin Hazen. Over here, two more serious pieces. This is Rip Kirby by Alex Raymond, one in brush, one in pen. And underneath is really Secret Agent Corrigan. And Al's work was absolutely amazing. The fine lines, the shadows. Al used himself many times as a model for Secret Agent Corrigan. And these panels are just amazing. This character, Dr. Seven, was based on Ming the Merciless because Al loved Flash Gordon. Thank you for joining us on this tour of American cartoon art. I hope you've enjoyed it.